powerful when rotating the IFB.
Alright, so, callouts. It appears Command wants us to shorten our radio chatter when on deployment. So right now we will be going over some new chatter calls. For starters, these will not affect how you talk on the radio. However, you will be called a fucking weirdo when, and only when, you do. So all this will only be applied to text-based communication. Let's get started. When referring to any enemy of any kind, start with a capital letter E, followed by whatever you want to type. E infantry, E tank, E lav. Whatever you want to refer something or someone as an enemy. You just put the letter E before you type. This will cut down the time you will need to type what the fuck is going on. If the thing you are trying to identify is not in fact an enemy, just leave out the E. This is easy shit, could save your life someday. Now let's get into respelling units on the field. When typing for infantry, instead of spelling out the word, you will now be spell it as simply INF. INF is short for infantry, assuming you're not a brain lit. If you need to be more specific, spell out the whole thing. E-recon, for example, but if you're just generalizing, just type EINF. When typing for vehicles, thankfully most of them were easy and short. E-tank, E-lav, and so on. However, when talking about logistics vehicles, just call them LOG. This includes but not limited to vehicles such as cars, trucks, motorbikes, non-armored vehicles, armored vehicles, snowmobiles. Literally any vehicle that gets you from A to B, but when you spot any logistic vehicle with a warhead, just call them EJIH, short for jihad. Don't ask why that's its name. Now non-fixed winged aircraft. Pretty easy. An attack helicopter will be called an AH, and recon helicopter will be referred to as little b, properly spelled LILB. Again, if it's an enemy attack heli, it's called EAH. If it's a little b, that's ELILB. Can't forget about the transport helicopter. Short version of that is trans. That's TRANS, trans. Fixed winged aircraft. Bombers will be called bomb, and stealth fighters will be called fight. That's fight as in FITE. Really simple. Once more, if it's an enemy bomb or fight, just put an E before the word. Finally, water vehicles. Speedboats are called WATLOGs. Spelled WATLOG, WATLOG. The inflatable boats with the minigun will be called RIB, spelled RHIB. Far easier than spelling out inflatable boats. And finally, the attack boats. Just call them boat. BOAT, pretty simple stuff. Alright class, that will be all for the LOG Army's text communication guide. Try practicing using these text-based commands when you're out in the field. Yes, War, what's your question?
What if you're under fire and you fuck up on some of the shortcuts when sending a text-based message?
Well, I guess you're fucked. Just try again, this time slower. Since you are en route to be a tank commander war, I encourage you to learn these callouts faster. In fact, anyone that will be using a vehicle will need to learn these shortcuts the most. Communication is what gets us the advantage, gentlemen. Without it, we are as good as fucked. Any more questions? Alright, now let's talk about up-armoring your patrol vehicles.